Hello, Sheikkers, and welcome back to Nerdy Chic Universe. I have someone new, RJ Heady from Face Off.
Hi.
uh, how does it feel to be at a convention here?
Wonderful, actually. I'm very excited to be in Orlando. This is my first Orlando trip, and I know, damn, 10 years, 15 years almost, I think. Yeah. 10 years. I was last year, well, a little over 10. I was here in 2003, I think it was. So,
Mm,
yeah, this is a long time ago. And so it's nice to come back and finally to get to be able to come to a convention in your all's area is really nice.
mm. How does it feel to meet your fans from Face Off on this side of the country?
Oh, it's always nice to meet any of the fans. I love being able to talk to the people about the show and what they liked best and what they didn't and that kind of stuff. I always am looking forward to. I always like hearing what everybody else thinks about what we've been doing, because I know I have a view of what I think was cool, but I like hearing what they thought was cool. You know what I mean?
Mm. All right. Let's see. Do you like what you've seen so far with the whole entire cosplay and the makeup effects
Oh,
and
you mean
everything?
here?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I've been really impressed with the. You were standing there with me a little bit ago, and we saw a young lady who had a gorgeous uh, amount of handwork done on her costuming, and I don't. A lot of people don't know this, but I have 18 hours towards a master's degree in costume design.
Wow.
So I look at stuff like that very seriously when someone says, and then the people that were standing there next to them, they had all the beautiful leather work done, and
Mm,
for their steampunk costumes. I always say, I love foam fabricating as an effects artist.
mm.
I think foam fabricating is important as a added tool, but I don't. I love the suits. I think the armors are really cool,
Mm.
but it's hard. It's a hard call. It's a hard call to make, and I always say, but we just judged. I just judged in Pensacola, and it's just the difference in night and day.
Mm.
It's like comparing apples and oranges.
Mm.
This is awesome and this is awesome, but to get, it's like how do you judge the two? And I think they really need to start putting fabricated costumes in different categories
Mm.
than traditional hand sewn garments, because it's very difficult to differentiate between the amount of work.
That is
Yeah,
true.
so it'd be nice if like everyone could get a little bit of that, really high recognition as opposed to just having to pick, oh, do you like this person who put in, like
Yeah.
100 hours hand sewing
Mm.
this thing versus the person who put in 30 hours doing a ton of foam
Yeah,
fabrication
and foam
to make a
fabrication
to
is
make an
so
elaborate suit
quick.
of
Yeah,
armor.
so I mean, it looks elaborate, but we all know, those of us that fabricate know how quick it goes together. I know that from being a costume designer and a costume major, what goes into patterning and designing fabric and garment quality. I'm not talking about costumes. I'm talking about garment quality,
Mm.
hand sewn stuff that are historically accurate, like that young lady's piece out there that was absolutely gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
I think people like that. It's hard. You can't tell me that is not worthy of first place, even if you have 6 foot tall, 8 foot tall monster suits and made out of foam.
Mm.
It's a whole different ball of wax. So I think what we're gonna have to do is costume contests are gonna have to start
Ex-
segregating the fabricated stuff from the garments, because
yeah.
otherwise it's just people are just people that don't know much will ooh and ah over the big things,
Hmm.
and then not really think that it's well, who cares if she's in a dress that she handmade and put 5,000 rhinestones on herself. It's like, well, are you kidding me? What have
That takes a lot of talent right
Yeah,
there.
and one of the things that we usually ask people too is, what was your hours on this, and where did you, what did you do for your, do you have any justifications, or do you have any reference photos? Did you pattern it yourself? So I ask a lot of questions. I mean, I'm not, because you have to.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like when you see them side by side, you go, "Oh, it's very difficult to choose." So when it comes down to picking, you have to ask all these questions about, the construction of the piece. So, that's and looking around at what you guys have been bringing to the show today and yesterday, I'm really impressed with some of the stuff I'm seeing. Yeah.
Um, since you've been on Face Off, what has been your favorite challenge being on the show?
Being on the show is a challenge by itself. My favorite challenge on the show. What you mean, a challenge that I personally was involved with,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
okay.
the one that they threw at you, like.
The one that they threw at me, well, of course, is I'm gonna have to say the Tim Burton challenge. That's my
Oh
favorite.
yes, I
Oh, God.
remember that one.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I know it's pretty much a stock answer at this point, and it's not really creative or original. Everybody wants me to say something different, but
Which
I
one
had-
were you? Sorry for
Oh, you're fine.
interrupting, but which entry were you?
Oh,
with
mine's
that
the
challenge?
bellhop.
Yes, I remember the bellhop. That was
The Tim Burton bellhop. Yep,
that was amazing.
Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. It was probably a stroke of luck that I ended up picking last on the show. I was all about the idea of the contest. I've been a Tim Burton nut my entire life, and then I was starting all the way back at Pee Wee's Big Adventure was his first movie, one of my favorite movies, and then Batman is my favorite movie, his Batman. So I've known and felt Tim Burton's sensibilities as growing up. It helped shape my own sensibilities, as far as art is concerned, and as far as what is aesthetically pleasing, and his the macabre sense of. It's almost like an Addams Family quality, where this is a dark tone, but it's still lighthearted and here's the buzzword, whimsical enough to not be dark and evil and satanic and all this stuff. You know what I mean? And blood and guts and all that crap, which to me shows the fun. You can bring fun and lightheartedness to dark sensibilities. Elvira, the Addams Family, the Munsters, Scooby Doo, even. So there's dark sensibilities, but they're still light,
Right. I remembered how the girl had a hard time with the toy maker, and
Oh yeah.
I had the imagery of like, what if someone put like puppet arms right underneath his regular arms? That would have been awesome.
Well, it could have been anything, you know what I mean? But that's the thing. We just came off of an old age challenge, and I really wanted. I mean, thank you. Everybody wanted Toy Maker, and she grabbed it. And then I thought, oh, I want to do Baker. My dad was a baker. I thought, okay, grab Baker, and then somebody else probably got that one. They pulled all those names out of that can, and I was the very last one to pick. The last thing that I really wanted was bellhop. I thought, God, what a dumb topic. And then I was very dejected at that point. But the cool thing that happened was because I was the last one to pick the topic, I got to be the first one to pick the model. And way on early in the show, Landon and I kind of bonded. And I went to in the cast house, and I said, if any of you mothers pick Landon during this competition, I will come at you in the night with a soap and a sock and beat the shit out of you, Full Metal Jacket style. So they were all looking at me like,
Dot, dot,
They
dot.
didn't know if I was kidding or not, but I really wasn't.
Well, speaking.
So Landon and I kind of bonded really well, and Landon even told me, he's become a very good friend of mine. Landon even told me after this, the fact is, when they would call each week to ask if he wanted to come back and be on the show again, he would always say, well, is RJ still there? And they would say, we cannot tell you whether he's here or not, but you would not be disappointed. That's all they would say. So, having Landon to work with was always such a great actor. In fact, to this day, I think he's one of the, if not the best actors that have been on the show. He fully immersed himself into all the characters and really played to this day, no one has ever done anything as standout, hilarious as Landon did the day that he pulled that bra and shoved it over V's head.
Oh yeah.
Nobody. I mean, that was a moment in time that will never be relived, and that was because of him. That wasn't anything I directed him to do. I said, directed him towards the character. I wanted him to pull all the underwear out. I said, throw it on her. I didn't say, molest her with the underwear. I just said throw it at her. I said let's be really good. You know, I said and I had asked for the costuming department to bring, what do you call it? Period garments, like a girdle, nylons. You know, because I had this in my head that he was from the 40s or 30s or 40s or whatever, right? And that he was some bellhop in a big, you know, like maybe the Waldorf Astoria in New York, and he died while he was, you know, taking baggages upstairs, and still hung around the Waldorf. Okay, so, but what happened is they ended up bringing me all these like current, like popular modern underwear padded bras that were day glow colors, and you know, and little tiny G-strings. So he quickly went from a period sweet little character to a panty stealer. So not only does he deliver your suitcases, but he rifles through them too. You know? You know, I can see him.
He has that little drawer to keep him in.
Exactly, right? So that, and I think it worked, you know.
Yeah,
so it was
did.
a happy accident. And they did bring me some beautiful striped stockings, which, of course, Tim Burton is always known for black and white stripes and swirlies and things like that. So black and white is a big thing with him. But also, you know, I pulled in some brighter colors, you know, because it just felt like, you know, that's the kind of a thing. I didn't want to go completely Beetlejuice with it, but I think that he does have also a very Edward Scissorhands type of a look to his face as well. If you look at the angularity in his faces and the pitched eyebrows to kind of give him that little bit of sadness that Edward, is one of, like, you know.
Because I remember watching that
Edward
movie.
Scissorhands is my Patronus, okay? So it's like...
Well, when I was a kid, I remember being able to see how the makeup effects look, but nowadays I let the music tell me the story.
Oh yeah. I mean, and gosh, you know, so having Landon was a godsend, because not only that, he's built like Jack Skellington. I mean, he's almost 6.5. What is he? 6'5" and weighs 175 pounds. So he's this big around, and you know, very well built, but he's just very tall and lanky. So it became perfect because he has those really long arms, and when he, you know, shrugged up, I mean, it was just a perfect body type for that look. So there you go. You have to build for your body type to emphasize things. You know, you end up with a shorter model. You kind of change your design a little bit to fit the body a little bit better. And I think that's one of the things that really either will hurt you or lift you up. On the show, if you work against the actor's body type, it's going to sink you every time. And sometimes too, the actors will come out and just stand there and they'll just do this, you know, and that's not good, because they will tell you later on, did you not direct him to do anything? Or I'm like, I did.
Yeah, I did remember
didn't do anything, you know.
I did remember one of the models complaining that she had sensitive skin and like the makeup was screwing up with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Speaking of models, what was your favorite item to use on them?
Like my go-to favorite product?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I loved and that I took away from Face Off, and this is why I always say you can teach an old dog new tricks, and you're going to stop learning and you're going to stop growing, you know what I mean? And the coolest thing about it is I feel like today I'm a better artist than I was yesterday. And you know, everything that I do improves on the last thing. And that's just art and life, you know. And if you're going to have this ideal in your head that, oh, I know how to do everything I do is gold, you know, it's like, then stop doing it, you know what I mean? Find
You're
something
going to be
else to
disappointed in the end.
I think if you have to be your own worst critic. But my favorite thing that I took away from Face Off was alcohol paints. And that's all I use now. I don't even use Pax Paint anymore. If you don't know what that is, Pax Paint is how we traditionally painted prosthetics. Because stuff doesn't want to stick to foam. Makeup does not stick to foam, and it doesn't move across the surface of it. So you would have to seal it and balance everything out in a neutral palette with something called Pax Paint. And Pax Paint is basically glue that we use to glue the piece on the face with, the liquid glue, mixed with acrylic paint. Yeah, so it's kind of gooey and crap to get off of your face. This way, with the alcohol paint goes on the foam pieces beautifully, and we airbrush with that, and it moves with the face without cracking or breaking. So my favorite thing that I took from the show would be the Endura line of body paint from European Body Art. So it's an alcohol-based makeup, and it's amazing stuff.
Yeah, I remembered one of my favorite YouTubers. She's into doing the makeup transformations and everything, and she talked about alcohol paints, aqua paints, all that.
Well, the alcohol paint will stay on the skin too. So if you have a sweater, and it's waterproof, so you can jump in a pool and get out, and it'll still be on your face, right?
Even if it rains, because Florida is known for raining.
Oh yes.
For the bipolar weather.
When you use alcohol-based makeup, the only thing that's going to take it off is remover or more alcohol. So that's why I like it, because it's on, and because it's the longer it lasts, the less touch-ups you have to do. So it's less work for you later on.
That's good to know, actually. Because I tend to do one costume that has a body marking right here on the hand, and that, not sure if they make it in pink, but that would...
They do actually make it pink. It's a hot pink, but it's a...
Perfect. That's exactly the color it needs to be.
Yeah, they make a hot pink.
That's good to know.
We will make sure to pick some of that up, and we'll...
I could probably order it for you if you want. Just let me know.
Ooh.
Good to know.
I sell this stuff. I mean, I have it on my website. It's one of the things that when he came out with the paint, I was like, look, you gotta let me sell this stuff. It is my favorite stuff. And I'm only gonna sell stuff that I like. I'm gonna sell stuff. I had a paint on there before. It was a lesser brand, and I was like, this stuff is not good. So I don't want to sell people stuff that's not good stuff. So I took it off. And so, yeah, it's good stuff. If you like it and you want to try it, let me know. I could probably get you some.
Well, I know you did a lot of things while you were on the show, so many challenges. Was there anything that you wished that you had done over or redesigned?
Yes, I do. I have two regrets about Face Off. There are two.
Aside from the obvious one at the final challenge.
Yeah, the final challenge I wanted to make. I should have. We had that. Now they don't do this anymore, but we had that little aside after we were confirmed the finalists, where each of the judges directed a comment to us, and Glenn spoke to Ian, Patrick spoke to Race, and B spoke to me. And I think it was like, they felt that those judges whose work most emulated what we were doing are the judges that they let speak to us. And V's note to me was, I love your fantasy stuff. Keep it up. It's great stuff, and you're doing a good job, honey, and blah, 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 this and that. So I had that in the back of my head. But when I went to pick fantasy, they had no idea the choreographer. We had no idea we were going to have to deal with the choreographers, and they did not like my direction for my costuming, so they wouldn't let me do that. And I was like, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to work around what I'm trying to do? But it was kind of a crappy situation, so I had to really sit there and really rack my brain with something else to come up with. I wish that, hindsight being 2020, I wish I had picked horror, and then I would have done a Frankenstein, an Igor, and a Bride, which is what I would have done for horror, and because I'm a big Frankenstein nut too. So that's my first regret. My second regret is on season 5, letting everybody get to me as much as they did, because it became the house was a very hard environment to live in on season 5, and I think it deterred my judgment a little bit. I had been seeing on season 5 up to the point where I got eliminated, all the girls had incorporated a ridiculously big wig into their characters, and those were the ones that were coming out on top. They were either winners or tops. They all had like really huge hairdos, and I thought, okay, well, this is a trend. It's obviously something that they're looking for. I'm going to incorporate that into my next thing. So instead of sculpting a beehive, which is what I really thought I should have done, I would have, if I could go back, I would sculpt a beehive for that character, that Mother Nature thing that I got eliminated for. But they just eliminated me because they just didn't want to deal with any more of my goofy sense of humor, I think.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely a lot worse creatures on stage. I had a lot of trouble with that one because I had just done a Mother Nature character for the finale on season 2. So if I went back and did the same character over again, or a version of that, I they would have raked me over the coals for that, you know? So I couldn't completely go back and do that over again. And so then it was like, well, I had to go in a completely different direction. That's the one thing about me is like, I think on the show, I was constantly challenging myself to do something different that I hadn't done before.
That usually is a good thing. If
It's
you
a very
keep-
good thing, I
yeah.
think. But there were a lot of people on the show that would regurgitate makeups that they've already done. There were some people on the show that were doing, you know, literally pulling things out of their portfolio that they had already done before and recreating them for the show, which it's not exactly cheating, but if you can put your head on your pillow at night after doing something like that, go for it.
You also do puppeteering according to the Omni website.
I do.
What was your influence towards that?
Gosh, you know, all of the puppet movies of the 80s, Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, and
yes.
the big one, Gremlins and Little Shop of Horrors. Little Shop of Horrors was probably the biggest one that just made my eyes bug out because that damn thing was so big, and I could never...
Audrey, too.
Final question is there a movie that you want to do puppeteering or makeup for? If you were to work on one?
Well, yeah, the movie that I'm wanting to do is my own movie. It's called The Family Business. It's something that I wrote based on my life experiences working in the funeral home with my uncle when I was younger. He was a mortician, and I've kind of course, embellished it a little bit. It's a supernatural dark comedy at this point, and I don't want to say it's a horror because I like to say we're going to be a lot of blood without the guts. But there's monsters and creatures and all kinds of things that we're going to be putting in here. It's going to be one of those movies that I want the audience to look at it and go, when the hell was this made? Because we're going to really do it all old school, all stop motion puppetry, all miniature sets, all matte paintings. So, you know, all creature suits, all hero heads with animatronics and servos and things.
Wow.
So we're going to do a lot of old school techniques. We're not going to rely on the computer for anything that we don't absolutely have to have the computer for.
So pretty much old school Tim Burton almost.
It's going to be old school. We're going not just Tim Burton. We're going back to Ray Harryhausen with this sucker. Okay, so we're going to have, you know, we may even have some sword fighting skeletons in this picture before it's over with. But yeah, so that's one of the movies that's on my bucket list. That's got to get done, and so right now I'm working on securing funding for that. So if there's any movie producers out there watching, please contact me.
All right. Well, that's about it.
Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for appearing with us, RJ. And by the way, everyone in the description below, you can find RJ's website, so go check that out.
RJHeady.com. Check it out. And radeffectsco.com.
Yeah. Click the links in the description below, and we will see you all next time.